is a forming, storming, norming, and performing. Okay, or the agent. So agent means this one. Okay, so then under the forming, so it's a kind of impersonal thing. So you are very polite on this one. Some are very quiet. So those things will be there. So therefore, this is what the testing stage. We try to understand each other. So this one, that's why it is important to have a kind of orientation. Not like a very or in your first year we arrange a very the mega orientation. Okay, so when it comes to teams, just have a chat with them so they try to understand each other. So what's their role, what's their interest, all the things will be they will be get familiar. So then that the storming level, so now we are there in the fighting stage because they started their work sometime. So conflicts over controls, those things will be there. There will be some issues with the management, the morale. At the beginning, they are having high morale because in the first day when you go for the training, you are having a lot of expectation with the high morale, so you are working. But later, when you are assigned with the team, okay, if the team is not match with your consent, so your morale will be get down. Okay, so these are the something, and then norming level. So once we are going to identify the conflict, so then we try to establish these procedures. If this will happen, this is what we have to do. Okay, it's kind of agreement. Okay, so and rebuild. So we try to this low morale. We try to rebuild. So especially how we are going to by establishing the procedure, norming, and finally, so we are going to performing all the things, and finally we are going to adjourn. So that means we are efficient. We are having now we are doing my roles and responsibilities. Are you are very efficient because all the things are now according to the procedures. Conflicts you try to things and skills are improved because now we identify this kind of lack of some skills are lacking. So then the top management or the project manager, they will arrange some training. So now we are equipped with, finally we are going to do the activities and adjourn the group. So this is what the team involvement in the project environment. And then, so when I'm dealing with this project team culture, as I mentioned earlier, always teams are with cross-functional activity. Okay, so this is very important. We have to get the cross-functional coordination, cooperation. So how we are going to do is that some we have to get the service of the cross-functional members, and then coordination part for the support. Okay, you have to say so in that case, we need to clear all goal members with the cross-functional team members. We form the groups. Okay, so now we need to set our project should have a superordinate goal. So because all the team members, that goal should be very important. Okay, so not like that much the less important. It should be a superordinate goal for all the cross-functional members. Some projects may be there, some team members, their task is not that much significant. So if under such case, so his morale may be get down. So therefore, always we get the importance of these goals to each and every member. And then, so to get the maximum benefit from the cross-functional team members, you need to establish rules and procedures. We have to formalize processes established by the organization that control the activities of the project team in terms of team membership, task assignment, performance evaluation, all things. Irrespective of the different duties, so we have to have a proper rules and procedures. So then all the cross-functional members, they will work together to achieve, because they are having the different membership and they are assigned some tasks and their performance evaluation is specifically mentioned. If he cannot achieve their assigned task, so his rewards will not be received. So then accessibility. So that is what perception by others that the person is approachable for communicating and interacting with regarding problems or concern related with the success of the project. So because cross-functional cooperation, so sometimes so we are going to get the service of that member only for a certain time period. But at least within that time period, he should be accessible. Sometimes he may be having multiple projects if they are not, when we are contacting that member, if he is not available to get his service to the project, that is an issue. So that is why the cross-function, if the team, if it is not there, always we are committed in like normal organization, finance department people, they are work on that. But now the environment is different. We are having different functional members. So this is accessibility is very important. As you have to ensure when you are forming the teams. So you need to, as a project leader, you need to ensure the accessibility. Anytime within that period, he is ready to give his service to the project team. Otherwise, so the time will be extended. So the other project activities we have to hold until his service is provided. Those kind of issues will be there. Okay. So this is what the cross-functional coordination. Now I come to virtual project teams like us now. Okay. We are virtually meeting. Okay. So most of the things, so especially the IT people, they are having the virtual project teams. So there will not be any physical arrangements, only then and there they are going to have. So under such things, how we are going to ensure these and how we are going to manage these teams. Okay, so like you, if it is a virtual project teams, most of the team members may be silent. They will not respond because there will not be physical attendance. Anywhere in the world you can do sometime. So you will not do the assigned task within the set time period. So under such things, how we are going to manage as a leader? That is a critical thing. Okay. So that is the most important thing is that how we can improve the performance of these virtual team members. Okay. So first thing is that use face-to-face communication when possible. So that's why then and there we are going to meet physical, face-to-face meetings, communications. And don't let them disappear from the meetings. So we know that just you are logging, but you are not here. You are doing your own work. Okay, it's a kind of disappearing. Sometime you may excused for some meetings because your other arrangements. So you should not allow your team members to disappear. And keep the code of conducts. So there should be code of conducts, like you are studying in the audit as well. For the virtual teams as well, there should be some kind of disciplines. So that is those kind of agreed upon things. So we have to establish some code of conduct for specifically so for each and every teams. We cannot generalize the things based on their norming and storming stages. So there are agree in those something. So this is what the code of conduct. Keep everyone in the communication loop. So when you are communicating with the, let's say, through sometime WhatsApp or the formal email chains, all the members should be there. So then when we are doing the things and reporting the things, every member, each and every member is knowing that this is the status. So in the loop, we have to be there. Create process for addressing conflict. Especially, I'm going to discuss management later. So we have to process for the conflicts. If the conflicts arise, how we are going to manage it. So this is how we can improve the performance of the virtual teams. Okay. And then I will come to the important point, that is conflict management. So far, do you have any queries? Yes, queries. Is it clear? Am I audible to you at least? Okay. Okay, now we come to conflict management. So once you form the teams, when you are doing their activities, of course, there will be conflict because you have studied that there is always within the teams and the group dynamism will be there. So everyone, they are having their different perceptions, ideologies. So it will link with these conflicts. Okay. So normally, as a project leader, okay, as a project leader, so you have to spend over 20% of your time dealing with the conflicts. That is a natural thing. Okay. So to avoid these things, so this thing is that the code of conducts and the formal procedures. Still, you cannot completely eliminate these conflicts. So then and there you have to deal with these conflicts. So what is this? What kind of conflicts are there? What kind of strategies are available to resolve this conflict? So this is what our discussion. Conflict is a process that begins when a person perceives that someone has frustrated or is about to frustrate a major concern of that person. Okay, so sometimes one person's may be frustrated, so sometimes maybe due to the two persons arrangement, due to one person, another person may be frustrated or is about to frustrate. So this is what the conflict. So we can identify main three categories of conflict. Yes, three categories of conflicts: goal-oriented conflicts, administrative conflicts, and interpersonal conflicts. So goal-oriented conflicts in the project environment is that which is associated with the disagreements of the regarding results, project scope, performance specifications and criteria, project priorities and objectives. So this is relating to a kind of official thing regarding the goals of the project and the scope, all the things. So that's why what I have explained at the beginning. Okay, here the clear sense of mission should be there. So that means they need to identify what is the project and they need to understand, accept. At the beginning, if we did not communicate all the stuff, later there will be disagreement because they haven't accept all the procedures or all the activities and the scope. So this is what the goal-oriented conflicts. And administrative conflicts means centered on disagreements about reporting relationships, especially concerning who has authority and administrative control for functions, project tasks, and decisions. So that is not the duties, but the managing part of the project activities or the reporting relationships, chain of command. Okay, it's a kind of chain of command. So who has authority to approve this document? To whom I have to report? So those things will be a kind of administrative conflict. And interpersonal conflicts means it is personality differences. Due to your personality differences, members will be, there will be some conflicts, okay? Because your ego may be different and some personality, some ethics and their behavioral styles will be different because we are having different cross-functional members. Group dynamism will be there. So obviously these interpersonal conflicts are there. You cannot avoid those things. But goal-oriented things to a certain extent you can minimize at the beginning if you communicate all the things to the team members. And also at the administrative conflicts as well, you can minimize if you clearly communicate the responsibilities and the roles of each and every member. Okay, so this is what the different types of conflicts. So now, once it arises as a leader, how we are going to resolve those things? Okay, so what are the strategies? There are several strategies. As a leader, you need to resolve. First thing is that mediate the conflict. So how we are going to do is that project manager takes a direct interest in the conflict between parties and seeks to find a solution. So that means as a project leader, you are going to directly involve with this matter. So under such situation, there will be two solutions, diffusion and project manager is less concerned with the source of conflict, with the mutually acceptable solution. Okay, so that means that is not that much critical. So he is not focuses on the source of conflict. So he is not digging into from where that conflict was arise. So they will come to a point where mutually acceptable solution. Okay. Confrontation is serious one, involve working with both parties to get the root cause of the conflict. So sometimes it will be time sensitive and the more emotional. So you try to that. So those issues may be very critical for the project success. For the confrontation. Okay. So you are as a leader, you are going to directly involve with the both parties because always for a conflict there will be both parties. Okay. So then you are going to find out what is the root cause. So it will take some time. This is what then try to give the solution and mediate the matter. Other one is arbitration. So here, arbitration means the project manager will not directly involve with the activities, but he just listen to the both parties. Just listen to the both parties, and as an arbitrator, manager will give his decision. This is kind of because you studied at the arbitration in your corporate law and the conflict, okay, disputes. So the same thing will be happen as a project environment, project manager. So you need to listen to the both positions and you are going to make the decision. And the other one is control the conflict. You cannot apply almost all the methods to all the conflict. It's depend on the nature of the conflict. So sometimes you maybe feel that I have to get involved with things, so then you have to mediate. Some minor things may be there just for the hearing the both parties, you can make the decision. If not, you have to go for the control of the conflict. So not all conflicts can be quickly resolved, but can pragmatic a solution to some extent by taking time and limiting interaction between conflicted parties. This is especially with the let's say interpersonal conflicts, what we have discussed. Interpersonal conflicts. Okay, that means let the time decide the solution. Okay, so that is what the very common expression in the within the community. Time will resolve all the matters. So therefore, what project is going to do that, because especially those are not that much critical to the project goals or administrative things. So then project manager will take some time, okay, and see how they can resolve it. Sometime with a very short period of time, these matters will be resolved. And the other thing is that these conflicted parties, two parties, we try to limit the interaction. If the interaction is high, of course, there will be again and again there will be conflict. And give me 1 minute. Okay, so here we try to limit the interaction between these both parties. So then let the time to resolve these conflicts. This is the most in our day-to-day life. Okay, so you maybe experience those things. Same thing we are going to apply in the project environment as well. So the time will resolve the some matters. So that is a control the conflict. That is the technical term is control the conflict. And then eliminate the conflict. This is a very severe situation. So here, if the matter is that much critical, it has a severe impact connected with the continuity of the project. So therefore, it is crucial we try to eliminate the conflict. So how? So sometimes both parties may be guilty. Sometimes one party may be guilty. So if the parties deal with the fruits or something, of course you have to eliminate the conflict. Conflict means one party or both parties. Okay. So if these parties, once you have to carried out a proper investigation, afterwards, if you identify that, only one party is clearly the guilty of this matter. So sometime there will be some sanctions. Okay. If not, you are going to remove that person from the project. If not, sometimes you are just try to give a one chance by punishing only. The critical one is the removing from the project. So those are things is happening in the real life as well. If the both parties are guilty, okay, so therefore share the guilty for ongoing conflicts, okay, and useful to transfer them all. If the both parties are there, so then both parties we have to transfer. If it is, let's say, cross-functional teams, so they are going to transfer them for another conflicts, because as a two parties they cannot deal with in a one project. So this is what the elimination of the conflict, because it has a severe impact to the success of the project. So in that case, you have to eliminate. This is how different types of conflicts and the strategies available to resolve these conflicts in the project environment. So is it clear for you? Okay. So with that, I'll move to the second topic that I have planned to discuss today. Project scope management. Is it visible to you? So this is actually under project planning and estimating in your course outline. So under phase 1, project planning and communication. So I'm going to discuss the scope management. Next 3 weeks time period, you are dealing with the resource planning. Under will be conducting these 3 sessions. And once complete these 3 sessions, there will be the practical session. Okay, so hopefully because most probably this practical session will be on physical. So Viraj sir will conduct the session, we'll check the possibility of having this one. And afterwards, you have to, with that, actually have to submit your assignment as well. So therefore, that's why I asked you to provide the company details and the project details. Okay, so project scope management. So these are the learning outcomes. Okay, so mainly focus on the work breakdown structure of the project here. So what is project scope and what is project scope management? Okay, so project scope consists of naming all activities to be performed and resource consumed and end product that result, including quality standards. So therefore, what we are going to identify under the project is that project goals. Okay. Project goals, constraints, and limitation on things. So within that scope, you complete your product or service or output. So you are not going to consider beyond that because you cannot consider all the circumstances of the project. So within that scope, you are putting now a boundary. Oh, within that boundary, you are going to do your output. You are going to complete the project, have a product or a service. Okay. So therefore, actually it's depend on the client requirement and the resource availabilities and the quality standards, environmental aspects, all the things decide this project scope. But we need to demarcate it. And what is project scope management? Okay, so management is simply, it's a way of doing something. So once you identify the project scope, so you have to ensure that all the scheduled work are complete successfully. This is what simply management. So critical thing is that you need to identify the project scope. So once you identify the project scope, you need to ensure as a project manager, all the activities, all the works that you have scheduled to achieve this scope has completed successfully. Okay, so therefore, simply under the project scope management, you are going to answer what will the project produce in the end. So that means simply at the end of the project, what's your outcome? So you cannot reach this outcome if you did not properly outline the scope, if you did not manage it properly. So therefore, this is very important under the resource allocation and the project planning. The scope management is very critical one. So scope management, it has a few steps, the processes. So we are going to discuss that one. Okay, before that, so why the scope is matter? Okay, so you need to control these triple constraints under project environment. You need to manage these triple constraints that is out of control. So time is critical because the cost is time sensitive, your scope and the cost. So therefore, the scope is that much critical. That is what the manage our expectation. Okay. So we'll see what are the activities of scope management. First, you have to deal with conceptual development, scope statement, work organization, scope reporting, controlling, and project closeout. These are the activities. You need to complete these almost all the activities. So we'll one conceptual development. Remember this. So, am I audible to you? Is it clear, my voice? Any instructions? Okay. Okay. So, in the project life cycle, so we are going. The initial step is conceptualization, if you can remember. Okay. So conceptualization, planning, implementation, and closing. That is what the life cycle, the steps of the life cycle, stages of the life cycle. So this conceptualization is connected with this conceptual development. Okay. This is a process that addresses project objectives by finding the best way to meet them. Okay. So here, so we need to focus on few things. Okay. So first you need to identify, to set these project objectives. Okay, to set these project objectives. So you need to clearly identify problem or a need of the current situation, need statement or a problem statement. Can't say that the projects are linked with the time. So let's say, for example, company, the current operational cost be high. High, so due to that high state involved there. So in the case, it's a problem, production cost. Sometimes, so that's the mistake. So to the move our system to online system or the integrated system with the procurement process. Okay. So therefore, in that case, we have identified the need for the automation. That is not, but to improve their the standards automation. Okay, it's depend on our requirement. So problem or a need assessment. So why there is a need in search of a solution, what the underlying problem is, and what are the project intends to do. And then based on that, you need to gather requirements. Where we wish to be. Product related requirements, quality requirements, performance requirements. This is the heart of the project management. Okay. So then you need to identify what are the quality standards that we need to achieve. So what are the product related requirements that we need to achieve, or the performance requirement? What is the current level? Where we want to go? That is what the requirements gathering. Then information gathering. The first one is requirement. Now, based on that, you are going to identify what is the information of the current state of affairs. What is the current level? So, because at the beginning, we identify what is the required level of our objectives of the targets. Now, we want to identify what is the very specific information relating to the current state of affairs. At the same time, you need to identify the constraints as well. So time constraints, budget shrinkages, and the client demand. All the things you need to identify this conceptual development stage. Without identifying the constraints, you cannot achieve. And then, once you identify these requirements and current state of affairs and the constraints, so this is what simply the strategic management process actually. Alternative analysis. So you need to look for what are the innovative and novel project development alternative solutions to achieve your requirement. Okay. New solutions. And based on that, once you identify one solution, so one alternative, so based on that, you are going to develop your project objectives. Until such, you cannot develop objectives. Okay? Until such, you cannot develop. Okay? So based on the alternative, you are going to develop a clear statement of final objectives for the project in terms of outputs, required resources, timing, all the things. So then business case. So business case means because whatever the projects you are going to perform in a business scenario for a company. Okay, sometimes it may for the government even. So you need to justify committing capital and resources to the project. So that is what the business case. Once you identify the project objectives, okay, so you identify the resource requirements, all the things, then you need to justify why that much of resources should be committed to project to achieve the need. Okay, that should not be an ad hoc way. You need to justify all the things because all are resources. All are resources. financial matters. And then at the same time, the statement of work. So once you justify all the things, you need to prepare a detailed narrative description of the work required for the project. So it's a kind of mini project statement, background, objective, scope, task, requirement, deliverable, all the things should be there. Statement of work. Based on that, so you are going to prepare a project charter. Project charter means what? A document issued by a project initiator or a sponsor formally sanctioning existence of the project and authorizes the project manager to begin apply organizational resources and the project activity. So that is the initial document. So we are going to summarize in the first stage and as a result of conceptual development. So I will show you a sample project charter. Okay, so this one is a sample project charter. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, so it should include, hope it is visible to you. Is it visible to you? Okay, then the general information. So what is the project and sponsoring company, project ID. Okay, all the things should be there. And then project stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Their contact details. So project manager, program managers, and other representatives, all things should be there. And executive summary. So that means it should brief about the project. Okay, very small narrative. And then we have to provide the details of all the project activities. So here the project purpose. So we need, because we do a need analysis. So based on that, you need to provide the business objectives because you have to connect it with the company objectives, how this project achieve the business objectives, or you need to define it. And then you have to provide the project description, that is describe the project focus, approach, customers, boundaries. All the things should be provide project overview. And the scope, this is very important. Okay, under the scope management, who, what, where, when, and why a project. So a detailed description should be there. All the locations and when you are going to start, all the things should be there in the scope details. When you are doing this project, if there is any assumption, especially in terms of market conditions and the technical stability, some assumptions you have to base on that. All these assumptions you need to list down here. Okay. And the constraints. Constraints are critical because it will, to a certain extent, it will reduce the productivity or the outcomes of the project. So you need to clearly identify what are the possible constraints. And then project deliverables. So what is at the end of the projects, what you are going to deliver. And you need to report project management milestones. So because under the monitoring part, I'm going to discuss. So during this project life cycle, you need to identify what are the key milestones of the project life cycle. So at the beginning. Okay. So that is what you are going to do the practical session as well. Okay. So what is the milestone and the deliverable estimated date and who is responsible individual? Likewise, all the things should be planned out at the beginning. And your cost financial matters. Okay. So you have to, for each and every activity, what is the amount and what is the source from who is the sponsoring agency. And personnel and other resources. Here, what the team members. So you have to include the project team, the support services, facilities, equipment, all the things should be there. And project risk. Risk management also I'm going to discuss in later stage. So all the possible risk, because project is deal with the risky conditions. So possible estimated risk you need to report here. And project organization chart. Project organization chart means it's a kind of work breakdown structure. So you have to report it here. And then another reporting guideline is that roles and duties of your project stakeholders. Not only the team members, but also all the project stakeholders, government, client, all the things should be there with detail for the and their responsibilities. And finally, so we are going for approval signature. So then all the documents, if it is accepted, okay, so then they have to put it aside to approve this project to go ahead. Okay, so the members should be responsible members should be signed. This is what the sample template for the project charter, but still these things can be customized based on the company policies. But basically those information we have to report as a project charter. Okay, is it clear for you? Is it clear? Now we go to scope statement, second one. This is the heart of the scope management, scope statement. Okay, once you prepare this project charter, so then you need to clearly prepare a scope statement. Okay, it reflects the project team's best effort at creating the documentation and approval of all important project parameters before proceeding into the development stage. Okay, so all the important parameters you need to identify under the scope, establishing the whole project goal criteria. So those things you need to report in the project chart as well. Cost, schedule, performance, deliverables, and key review and approval gates with important project stakeholders. Because always project manager will not give the sole authority to approve. So there will be some, because as an internal control mechanisms, so there will be some approval gates, reviews, all things should be, we have to identify. And developing the management plan for the project. So that means organizational structure for the project teams, policies, procedures under which team members will be expected to operate, job description of the team member. So because each and every member is assigned with a task, okay. Okay, so they are all the team members. We need to identify all the team members and what's their roles. And then based on that, we need to establish work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure. So that means we are going to divide the project into the component of subsets to begin these almost all the activities. We are going to divide into the smallest activities, and then so we had to create a scope baseline. So that means for each and every component, so you have to identify what is the goal to achieve for each activity. So what is the cost involvement? What is the scheduled time? All the things should be, you have to identify. Otherwise, you cannot achieve the set project objective. It's a like of management, the different level of top management, middle management, and the tactical. Same thing. Okay. So then, so the main outcome of this scope statement is preparing the work breakdown structure. So main outcome of conceptual development is what project chart. Okay. So here project breakdown structure, common the technical term abbreviation we are going to use is WBS. Okay. It is a hierarchical decomposition of total scope of work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish the project objectives and create project deliverable. So we are going to decomposition of the total scope of work. This is what the work breakdown structure. Okay, so it always deliverable oriented group elements. Always there will be a deliverable. If not, we are not going to identify a separate activity. Okay. So here, why these work breakdown structures necessary? What are the purposes? Okay. So here, if you prepare a work breakdown structure for the project, it echoes project objectives, because always there will be project deliverables. Okay. So it should be connected with the main project objective or the project mission. So based on that, you are going to identify the different levels of activities. It echoes the overall project objectives. Otherwise, there will not be any guidance for the team members. So it's a organization chart for the project. So in the project charter, so we have mentioned that we have to report the project organization structure. So this is what the project organization structure, work breakdown structure. So which identify key elements. So key elements means a task that need attention and various tasks and logical flow from activity to another activity. This is what the work breakdown structure. So it's a kind of organization chart for the project. So it creates logic for tracking cost, schedule, and performance specification. So because each and every task we are going to identify who is responsible and what is the budget figure and what is the time constraint, all the things are there. So then you can easily track those things. It creates a logic for tracking the cost, schedules, and the performance specification. Otherwise, so we cannot track. There is no any logic. Okay, and then if you prepare a work breakdown structure, it clearly communicates the project status, where the project is now at the moment, in which stage. So is it within the time frame? If there is any budget overrun, so all the things you can identify, communicate the project status, improve overall communication, and also it's demonstrate the controlling structure. Okay. So this is the sample of work breakdown structure. Okay. So this is the project objective. At the end of the day, we are going to achieve. So what we are going to do, we are going to decomposition project. To achieve this project objective, we are going to decompose the activities of the project. Okay, so we call it as a project deliverable. Project deliverables. So once each and every deliverable, it should be measured in terms of time, schedules, and performance. Once you achieve this deliverable, finally we are going to achieve our project objective. Okay. So here the deliverables are the major project components. So these are the major project components. Okay. So then based on these project deliverables, so we are going to identify work packages. This is under the individual level project activities. That is the tactical level management. So under 1.1, there will be different deliverables, work packages. Once you complete these three only, you can go for this project deliverable 1.2. Likewise, you are going to identify work packages. For work packages, you are going to assign team members. That is right. Okay. So this is what actually you are going to do in your the practical session by using MS Project. So you are going to do this one, prepare this work breakdown structure and do the evaluation as well. So always it is time sensitive, so you have to put the time frame. Okay. So IT installation is your main project objective. 1.1 means this is project deliverables. This is project objective. 1.2 is project deliverable. 1.3 is project deliverable. So once you complete all, only you can achieve a project objective of IT installation. You can complete it. Under that, there will be work packages. If you complete these work packages, only you can achieve these deliverables. Is it clear for you? Okay. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so based on the work breakdown structure, so now we are going to prepare the responsibility assignment matrix. Okay, so here in the work packages level, so we identify the team members who will be directly responsible for each and every task. Each and every task. So here we identify where each person can go for task support, who should be notified the task completion status, the cheat stage, and any sign of requirements. All things should be clearly mentioned. Okay. So this is the sample outline of the responsibility assignment matrix. Okay. So these are 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 are what? Project deliverable. Okay. Matching IT to organization task, identify IT user needs, prepare proposal. So under that, we identify different work packages. Okay. So we are having lead project personnel, David, Suzanne, Bob, Beth, James, and Teddy. So Bob is come from the prop and David comes from where? Because it is a IT based one. Two persons from IT field, expert from the cross-functional collaboration. This is what the cross-functional collaboration. Bob and David from IT, Suzanne from HR, Beth from procurement, James from engineering, and Terry from legal side. Okay. So now we are going to assign these responsibilities. Clearly, we have to give it. Otherwise, there will be a lot of free riders, like in your assignments. Okay. And so we identify the responsibility, who will be support to do the activity, and not responsible to difference it completed, and who will give the approval. All the things, it's a kind of internal control mechanism. So here, problem analysis, Bob having the responsibility, and James assigned for the supporting activities. So once it completed, David should have to notify, and approval should be made taken place by the Terry. And develop information on IT technology. So he is having the responsibility. So David is having the responsibility now. And he will be Bob will be support for that. And here notification will be done by Suzanne, knowing approval stage here. And under the second deliverable, interview potential users. Okay, we are going to interview the potential users. Who is the responsible person would be the Suzanne, because it is interview related thing. Suzanne has a responsibility. That means he is not the sole person to deal with these interviews. Other members will be there, but the responsibilities goes to Suzanne. And the Beth procurement division support for Suzanne, and notification and the approval will be done by the Bob. And develop presentation, responsible is Bob, and support by the Suzanne, and the notification will be done by the engineer. So likewise, so now we are going to assign the responsibility and clearly show it that who is responsible to these each and every task in different levels. It's what the responsibility assignment matrix based on the work breakdown structure. So this is purely comes from the work breakdown structure. Okay. So then third one is under the scope management, work authorization. So that means it's a kind of formal sign off on project planning activities. Now we have planned all the things. Now we try to sign off, because we identify the missions and the conceptual development project charters we have done, and then the scope statement based on that organization structure, assignment, responsibility assignments, all the things we have now planned out, and the budgets, all the things. And it gives formal go-ahead to commence the project. Address the contractual obligations between project organization and the customer. So based on these preliminary works, so we have the contractual agreements with the client and the project organization. Once you complete this one, you have to report it. This is very crucial one. This is what the scope management, okay, entire thing should be complete. The scope reporting means you have to properly document it. So normally in the reporting, okay, so the information included should be related to your cost, schedules, and the performance status. All the updates should be there: budgeted performance, schedules, the timing, okay, and the technical challenges and the solutions. All the things should be there. And also, so we have to at the beginning we have to determine determine what type of information reported, who received these copies, and when and how information is acquired and disseminated, the communication as well. All the things should be who will receive the copies, who will receive the other information, and all the things you need to identify. Especially the project stakeholders, they will receive this scope report. And then under the scope management, the control part is very important. So it is vital to ensure any changes to the project baseline. Project baseline is the initial plan. Project baseline is initial plan. If there is any deviations, so you need to control it. That is kind of variance. Okay. So here, managers can use number of project control systems to track the status of their projects. So one control is that the configuration control. So configuration control means the procedures that monitor emerging project scope against the original baseline scope. So originally we identified do the need assessment and then we have decided the scope. So when you are doing the things, so there will be emerging changes to the project scope, especially let's say due to the client requirement, you had to change the initial scope. This is what the configuration. So then you need to identify how we are going to accommodate those things. Then and there in an ad hoc way, you cannot incorporate all the changes. So you try to control those things. And then the other one is design controls. So that is a system for monitoring the project scope, schedule, and cost during the design stage. So when you are doing the designing stage, so you need to monitor the cost and the scope, schedule, and the cost. And trend monitoring means that is not this control system is not only at the initial stage, but during the entire project life cycle, you need to identify how we are going to do the controlling part. This is what this is for the designing part. If there is any project scope changes, this is how we are going to control. And the trend monitoring means process of tracking estimated cost, schedules, and resources needed against those planned. So that means initial cost monitoring things estimated cost. This is the trend monitoring. And then document control. So especially the documentation is crucial. So they have to ensure all the documents are properly compiled and disseminated to orderly and timely manner. Because especially when you're making some contractual and legal documents, they should be properly documented. Otherwise, you have to go for the court case. So document control should be there. Acquisition controls. Monitor system used to acquire necessary project equipments, that is in terms of procurement. So how you have acquired the resources out there, you have done the bidding, all the things should be there, material, equipment, services for the project development and implementation. And specification controls. So it ensures that project specifications are prepared clearly, communicated to all connected concerned parties, and change only when it with proper authorization. So that means project specification. Sometime, let's say, you are going to meet some quality standards. So due to some matters, you have to tolerate to a certain level the quality standard. The other thing is the material specification, technical specifications. those specifications by your own concerns or own matters, you cannot change as a project leader. So you need to get the proper authorizations to change the specifications. So all these procedures, so you have to properly maintain. Okay, so this is what the control systems for the project, and especially relating to the configuration control. So within the project, there should be configuration management. This is very crucial one, because configuration means we are changing the scope now. So when you are changing the scope, this is a the major amendment to the existing plan project. So you have to have a system of procedures that monitors emerging project scope against the baseline. It requires documentation, management approval on any change to the baseline. This is what the configuration management. So you need to properly document that, and also you need to get the proper management approval. Okay, especially project start date. If you want to change, if you want to start it little early, or you with a considerable time later, sometime the project duration you want to treat, all the things should be properly get the approval. This is for the configuration. Configuration means it is a scope related matter. Okay. So why this configuration management is important rather than other controls? This configuration management is important. Why? Because it sometimes maybe comes due to the initial planning error. We can't say that our baseline is always correct. Okay, so therefore you have to give a due consideration, and you have to give the special attention to this configuration management. Sometimes there may be some initial planning errors due to technology or human matters. So you have to give the priority for this configuration management. So apart from that, there will be some additional knowledge due to the environment conditions, sometimes due to uncontrollable mandates. We have to change the time frame or the schedules. Sometimes it may be due to the client request. Okay, not due to the planning errors, but due to the client request, you have to change the scope. So by just due to the client request, you are not you should not change the scope, because with the scope changes there will be a lot of changes. Time, cost, all the things will be there. So you need to properly mitigate and properly evaluate, and you have to do the proper cost benefit analysis. Afterwards only you have to do the controlling part. This is for the configuration management. Okay. So what are the different stages of configuration management? That means at once you cannot do these configurations. First thing is that based on these changes, emerging changes, you need to identify where these changes need to take place through our work breakdown structure, to which product deliverable it has an impact. Configuration identification, because scope means always not for all the activities. If all project deliverable may be get affected, sometimes only one or two project deliverables will be changed. So they have, therefore, through the breakdown structure, so you need to identify, and you have to review with the project stakeholders, because always we are dealing with the project stakeholders. You have to review this configuration, and you have to control it, and you have to report these all the configurations that you have made. This is how properly you have to do the configuration management. Is it clear for you? I don't know whether you can understand those things. You are not giving any reply. I'm really fed up with this. Luckily, I will receive a 4 or 5 weeks break for your lectures from next week onwards. Yes, tell me. Is it clear for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the last one is project closeout. Okay. So under the scope management, so you need to properly plan out how we are going to terminate the project. Okay. So how we are going to terminate the project? Of course, at the end of the project schedule date, you need to deliver your the outcome. So that termination also there is some procedures. So you cannot just close down and hand over the project. No. So there will be some documentation and post project analysis. All the things are there. So therefore, you have to properly plan out that one as well. That is a part of the scope management. So the project manager needs to consider the types of reports and reports they and their clients will require at the completion of the project. So you have to properly maintain these reports from the throughout the project. So first thing is that the historical records. Okay, so that means from the past records also you need to properly document, because based on these records, you can do some feasibilities and trend analysis. Sometimes the past experiences, issues may be similar to the future project. So therefore, you need to maintain all the records, historical records of the project. And then, so you need to do a post-project analysis. It's a kind of post-audit. So which follows a formal reporting structure, including analysis, documentation of the project performance in terms of cost, schedule, adherence, technical specification. So you need to identify, it's a kind of, let's say, the variance analysis. What is their target thing? So what is their actual? It's a kind of post-project analysis. And then financial closeout. So that means, so you need to identify the funds, how they have disbursed based on their project activities. So there will be some excess things. Sometimes they maybe have some slacks. So you are going to discuss under what, let's say, under network analysis. So you are going to focus on that one as well. Okay. So this is what simply these 6 stages you have to look into under the scope management. Okay. And then I'll come to this project management and sustainability. So always now the companies, they focus on the sustainability related projects. Why? So you know that ESG is now kind of, I think, mandatory for the top 100 companies in Sri Lanka. So other companies also, they need to adhere to the by 2030. Okay. Uh, Early adapters are the top 100 companies. So therefore, companies, they tend to look for the sustainable related projects, because always they have to report as a matrices. So then, when you're identifying these things, okay, so how these life cycle stages will be linked with these sustainability project management life cycle, just conceptualization, planning, execution, and termination. Those are the stages. How it will be linked with these project, and based on that, the scope will be changed. Okay. So here, especially let's say, because sustainability normally be considered social, economic, and environment. Now the governance also there. Okay, you have to incorporate that one as well. So when you develop the concept, is it socially viable? Is it environmentally viable and economically viable? Normally, we mainly focus on this economic viability. But now the company should have to give the priority for equal priority for social and environmental viability as well. Conceptualize whether the concept is socially, environmentally, and economically viable. In the planning. So planning means, so you need to identify the resources and you need to acquire the resources, human capital and other, the physical, the resources you need to schedule because project scope and the schedule. Okay, so therefore, let's say, for example, the when you are doing the planning, how it affect to the social well-being by doing this planning. And then in terms of environment, how these environmental these activities are sustainable for the, let's say, the project resources that you are going to use. Eco-friendly products, eco-friendly materials, whether we are going to use. Sometime one of your project may be to develop eco-friendly product. At the moment, you are just using the traditional product. So now we are thinking of how you can modify your product into the eco-friendly product, because we know that from the customers there is a huge demand for the environmental sustainable product. So therefore, sometime how you can change that product is by using eco-friendly material. Sometimes it may be you can slightly modify if you are going to use the packaging, eco-friendly packaging. So those things can be one of your projects. So therefore, the planning stage and the execution. So execution means you are implementing the projects. Let's say, for example, what I have mentioned here, if your product, how the carbon emission, is it high level of carbon emission or low level of carbon emission? So those things you need to focus on, not only the financial bit and the termination also. So you have to focus on how these you can sum up the project activities in a sustainable manner without having any legal issues or something. So you need to properly terminate the project. So therefore, when you are, all these matters are relating to the scope of the project. So nowadays, companies, they highly focus on these sustainability related projects. Okay, so therefore, when you are developing the scope, when you are identifying the resources, when you are scheduling the things, all the things should have to consider in relating to this sustainability. Okay, so is it clear for you? Okay, make sure that normally I'm not giving direct questions. Always there will be scenario-based questions. Okay, so you need to identify what is the concept, and then based on that you have to develop your answer. So therefore, those things you need not to keep these factors as it is, but you need to get the essence of these factors. Then you can easily apply for the given scenario. This is what my expectation, because you are not dealing with any technical projects, but day to day how we are dealing with these activities, how we have to manage those things. So far, I haven't done any technical thing. It's just management. Okay, but next week onwards there will be a kind of technical things. Okay, so you need to familiarize with, and you have to deal with some calculations. So for the project planning and estimation, and so far I think I have completed 4 or 5 sessions. So before winding up the session, do you have any queries up to this level? Yeah. One of your friends asked, could you please explain the group assignment? Yeah, here what I ask you to do is that you need to select an ongoing project. Okay, it's better. So then you need to report, evaluate this project in terms of their project activities, how they are, what is the risk associated with the project. Those things are based on your evaluations, okay? Not what company identified, based on the nature of the project. And so then how they are going to plan out those things. And for this purpose, you can use this work breakdown structure, all the things you can apply, but this practical session and their cost involvement, whether they are efficient to use this cost involvement. So upcoming next 3 weeks, you can deal with this one. So, but at the moment, you need to identify, select the project. So for that, you need to familiarize with the project, what's their activities, what their scope, how they have identified risk, and who are the project stakeholders. It's a kind of review. And then, and evidences means you need to prove that it's a live project, not an hypothetical one. Okay. And you have to discuss with the project team members and get some evidences. All things should be there. Because I'm going to refer these things. Some of you maybe provide a hypothetical projects. So it is not what my expectation. So you need to identify and understand what is the project and how we are going to evaluate the different aspects of the project management. This is what my expectation. So you can incorporate the MS project practical session relating to your assignment for the evaluation and put it to your group assignment. Okay. So if you don't have any queries, we can wind up the session. And next week, Anasa will conduct the sessions. So there will be some kind of technical things, some calculations will be there. So please ask other members to attend for the lecture as well. Okay, thank you.
Recording stopped.